hate to send the hey brother message.
Hey brother.
But hey brother. Hey brother. And Japanese business went from here to there. New Japan couldn't kick out. I don't work for them anymore. I'll say that here. There were chairs, there was barbed wire, there was blood everywhere. It seemed a bit excessive. I got into WWE so young, and they picked me because Vince McMahon wanted over 6'2" and 125 years old. I got let go from my first WWE deal, and I'd been through 3 gimmicks. You can laugh at that or whatever, but when you sit and you look at that as the human being and you go, well, this is what I chose as a career path, and it's basically over. I'm the first guy to bootleg shirts, and I was bootlegging the fuck out of those Aces and Eights shirts when the check was 8 weeks late. I'm sorry, that's the truth. I said, I'm doing 1 tour of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and if it doesn't work out, I have to be a man and give up for the good of my son. He goes, hey, Gallows. I go, hey. He goes, Machine Gun. I go, hey. He goes, you like beer? I go, yeah. It's like that for the Step Brothers moment. We just become best friends, and we're in the group of the last touring professional wrestlers that ever lived.
Attempt to walk straight or adjust your gait. This is LiMPiNAiNTEASY. I am your handicap debating host. My name is Timmy Baltimore. Don't forget to hop on that short bus, click like and subscribe, comment on our content. My guest today has gone by many names, but I call him Hey Brother.
Hey brother. Good to see you.
Big LG Luke Gallows. Hey man, thanks for carving out some time.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm sitting here in a hotel room in London, England. I apologize for the lighting, but today's show is not about me. I've been waiting for years to get on LiMPiNAiNTEASY, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to do the soft announcement. The reason we're doing this here today, and you're starting to slow and limp with me, is because you heard it here first. Timmy Baltimore, the pimp with the limp, is the host of WrestleMania Saudi Arabia.
I'm still in negotiations.
Okay, sorry. You know what? Hold on, guys. I'm going to retract that. You can take it out of the show. It's no problemo. But I was very excited when I read it in the blog.
It's yeah. I mean, I did fart at the dinner table next to the Saudi prince, and they seemed pretty turned off by that whole thing. But
that'll cost you. It won't. We'll see what happens.
See what happens, man. They're like, we're only a few years away from everything being owned over there.
Boy, I was making a joke. Let's not open a can of worms we can't put the cap on. My goodness.
No, let's not do that. But I think, a lot of people know you, Luke, for being, in my opinion, funniest guy in the wrestling business and life that I've ever met.
It went a lot of ways, so that's okay. That's a positive. Some people think differently, so thank you.
I can't help them, man. But with that being said, what's important to Luke Gallows and why?
Funny, it's funny you brought that question up. I did my own podcast earlier. I'm here in London, England, with Joe Holbert, a great podcaster. I call us broadcast journalists now, as the great Bobby Heenan would say. And if I would have gotten a college degree, which I didn't, I think, if you could go back and reverse that, I would have done it because we like talking, hearing ourselves talk and talking about the wrestling business. But, for me, I always enjoyed professional wrestling, and I've had a roller coaster ride of a career. But if you get into a business like this, you're fortunate enough to make a great living in it like I have done. You got to take yourself with a grain of salt. I see a lot of people out there who, guys who've gone further than me and ladies as well. You have to enjoy the ride. And if you start taking it too seriously and you take yourself too seriously and you take the politics too seriously and you take one wrong turn too seriously, you lose that little kid. And I wanted this job my whole life. And I sit here at over 40 years old with this job. And I don't feel like I'm going to work. I'm here for Rev Pro for 2 nights in England. I go home. I go to Ohio to a county fair. which people go, oh, he's doing the county fair now on a Wednesday. And then I do a 4-day run through the Carolinas with Karl. And then I go down to Mexico and we're doing a massive show down there. But, I got into this because it's something I loved. My work is my hobby. I still enjoy it to this day. And if you can't laugh at some of the ridiculousness that is professional wrestling and the culture that surrounds it, you're doing yourself a bit of a disservice, even if you got $900 million in the bank. So I think that we all started out as fans, and I tried to keep my inner child a bit, as funny as that might sound, but I still think it's fun, and I still think it's funny. So for better or for worse, I guess, right?
Yeah, you put out a video that was pretty pretty like touching, in fact, recently, and you were talking about a connection you had with Terry Funk when you were younger,
Yeah.
and you shared that with a fan. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Our editor, Emilio, when he shows up, that was a shot at you, Emilio. I love you, bud. When he shows up, is so on point with going, this is a raw, real moment. And it sounds like everybody does it, but I was really bloody and I got hit in the head with a bunch of shit. And I did it, that was on my own show, to preface this. That was my show. And I didn't like how the show was going. And I was going to do a bit of a bloody match, but I really thought, like, you know what? I gotta save my ass in front of these people, and I have to save this town because we've committed to them and they've committed to us. So I went out there and I did a lot more than anybody thought I should have done, and it seemed a bit excessive, but I did it for the reason. And if you haven't seen the video, I told a quick anecdote about Terry Funk. You and I, Timmy, are similar in age. We're both 20,
Mhm.
but
Forever young.
yeah, forever young. We grew up through the attitude era of professional wrestling, and people still look at that and say that was the coolest era or whatever. But the rise of Stone Cold, Goldberg, DX, all that that made wrestling hot and changed wrestling from, PG to PG-13 to rated R to sometimes we're dancing with NC-17. And there was that realism in it. But on the other side of that, it's the dawn of the internet. So kids like us are in high school, and when we're supposed to be studying or getting ready for practice or doing whatever, you and I imagine you're in the same boat because we've talked about it 20 years ago, are looking up TWNPnews.com and trying to find out the finish for Nitro and if Lex Luger's contract's really up, because that had never been exposed before, and I was obsessed with it. And then I got into the wrestling business and I hated all that because I thought they knew too much, but that was what I loved. But during that time, though, I fell in love, the tape trading and all that shit. But I fell in love with the middle-aged and crazy Terry Funk, because Terry Funk had an element about him that made me really believe that what he was doing, at least he thought, was real. And the story of that little video is this, and I'll tell it again. He came literally off of Monday Night Raw a week or two before. I don't know the logistics, and he wrestled Abdullah the Butcher in West Virginia, which is as you and I know, as Maryland boys, West Virginia, there is no state athletic commission. There's no regulation on guardrails, in-crowd fighting, blood, chairs. It's a free for all. Set the ring up and go nuts. It's fun. So I watched him the first night in West Virginia, and they brought Abdullah the Butcher, which, Abdullah the Butcher sat at the gimmick table and had people selling his merch and wouldn't speak to you. He would just dart his eyes around. So, at this point, I'm a 6'5" 15-year-old full of piss and vinegar, and this 5'7" little fat dude with a towel on his head scared the shit out of me because the gimmick,
Yeah.
and the people around him were going, "Don't talk to Abdullah, don't touch Abdullah, he'll stab you the fork in the eyeball." I'm like, holy shit. Even though I knew, and I was reading all this stuff, and then Terry came out, and there's this big line for Terry, and his wife Vicky sitting there, and he's Santa Claus, and ho ho ho, it's so good to meet you. It's $30 for a t-shirt and $30 for a picture. Here, take all my money, please, God. And then they go out there, and I'd seen a couple of independent shows that were good in the area, but you'd see the guys, then they could work independent shows off like WWF TV, or guys who'd been let go from a WCW contract, and they would go out and they would they'd wrestle and they'd have a little match and they'd do a couple shoulder tackle spots and somebody would get some heat and then they'd do a comeback and a finish. So I kind of was like, we get to see these two guys great. And Terry Funk and Abdullah the Butcher, there were chairs, there was barbed wire, there was blood everywhere. I caught Terry's shirt and I was wiping the blood off the wall where Abdullah was bashing his head into it. My mom washed the shirt years later. I want to kill her for it. Love you, Mom. But it was like, what the fuck are they doing that for? And then the next night, they go to Hagerstown, Maryland, which was within our dear friends in the Maryland Athletic Commission's realm. You can't do all that. So they're in Hagerstown, they're at South High, and it's Manny and Terry. And they're having a match, and it's a good match. It's Manny Fernandez and Terry Funk. And whether they're 45, 50 years old, it's a good match. It's entertaining. The whole gym's engaged.
Oh, yeah.
Fill out, they're fighting. And I didn't explain this in the video. They fight through the crowd. Then they fight out the doors of the high school. So the 800 people in the gym don't follow them. But the real marks like me do, and my 20 buddies. And we're outside, and Terry and Manny are slugging it out. And one of them brought a chair. And I remember Terry hits Manny with the chair. Manny comes back in and he throws the chair. And Manny sells away and he goes back into the gym. And Terry turned around to that little sector of the 10 of us and said, that mother thinks we're on Monday Night Raw. But he was so smart and he cared so much about our 10 little minds that he suspended our disbelief to make us believe that he thought that he was really mad and it was real. And that was what I was explaining in that video. Like, you know, I was having one of my Dublin shows and sometimes they do 1,000 people, sometimes they do 300 people. And I thought the show wasn't going well. So I went out there and I wanted them to think it was real and believe in that. And that's what, stupid or not, Terry Funk has been my wrestling hero since I was a child. And, you know, that's what we did. So I went home with a bunch of tacks in my back and a bunch of scars on my forehead and a barbed wire cut up my right forearm. And my wife said, "You're a dumb motherfucker." And I said, "I know I am. Anyway, here's the bag of cash. Put it in the safe. I got to take a shower." It's an undying love or stupidity or whatever it is, but it's just when your passion is your hobby. I see that in you too. And when I saw you at Maryland Championship Wrestling, not to just, you know, talk over your entire podcast, but I didn't get to sit and laugh with you like we used to do.
Yeah.
But from a faraway chair, I had a massive respect because I could see the passion in your eyes to help those guys and develop something that's been going on there for so long. And you weren't in the cuck chair, you were in the captain's chair, and you were directing, and it was really cool to see.
Well, thanks, man. I had some good teachers along the way.
You did.
What a gift Terry gave you. That's so awesome. I love that story. I love that story.
It's just you know, sometimes we tell those stories and we feel like we're too honest at different points in our career, and I'm to the point where I don't care anymore. I'll just tell the truth. You know, like whatever they're going to do to me, they've already done it.
Yeah, no shit. And you know, it gets to a point like, are we the marks here protecting the secret? But no, there is some magic still, and I truly believe that.
Yeah, he gave me the last like beacon of magic I ever had, and that's why it always, you know, I can. It was on an Instagram video, but I've told the story to my buddies for years, and that was why, because it was the last time that I went, oh man, and everyone says suspend your disbelief, but it really was, and that made it really 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 fun.
You've gosh, it's hard to believe how young you are and how long you've been around and how many just chapters of the industry and the business that you have been a part of. At this point now, looking back on everything you've done in your career, what do you see as the primary adversity that you faced?
Well, the adversity question is a great question because I've answered so many questions. You know, we do so many interviews, but that's not one that I've answered a lot, and it's not one I've opened up a lot about. It's something that's going into detail in the book because, you know, we all have a fucking book now. But the adversity part that I think and whether you're a fan of me or not, it's life, and life works in different ways. I was a special case because I got into WWE so young, right after my 21st birthday. And they didn't pick me because I was Kenny Omega or I had the buzz of a Samoa Joe in that era. They picked me because at that time Vince McMahon wanted over 6'2" and under 25 years old. And I wouldn't stop sending my fucking tape. So I was the greenest guy that got to go. I know that. I understand it. What's different is it's an undying passion for it. But with all that being said, when you start out in my head, I was thinking, at 18 or whatever, well, I'll get better at this. And maybe I can get booked in Puerto Rico. Then maybe somebody will pick me up in Mexico. Then maybe I'll get a tour of Japan. Then maybe when I'm 30, I'll go to WWE. That's how I thought it would go. And I was fine with that. It wasn't about fame or money. It was about, I wanted to live this pro wrestler life. And I was sending my tape everywhere, which I'd say that to people now. And they go, your tape, motherfucker. Your tape? But I sent my tape and my 8x10 and my little bio to everybody that said, I've worked for 18 shindies and I'm the champ and you should have me as your champ. And then my little matches. And I got the call from Dreamer to go to Deep South and be in WWE first. A month later, I got a call from Bushwhacker Luke to come be in IWA because they needed a working heel down there. Probably should have went the other way. You know what I mean? I had no life experience. But that being said, so I got let go from my first WWE deal in November of 2010. It was a month before my 27th birthday, and I'd been through 3 gimmicks. So when you can make fun of me or laugh at that or whatever, but when you sit and you look at that as the human being and you go, well, this is what I chose as a career path, and it's basically over. So I said, now's the time to go. I got a little name. They had me out there with CM Punk. He's one of their big stars, so I went everywhere. I fucking wrestled in Mexico. I wrestled in Japan. I wrestled in Puerto Rico. I fucking whole nother podcast story, wrestled in Africa, all over it, and got hemmed up in Nigeria with one of our old buddies. And all these things can happen to me. And then I signed with TNA in 2012 because I knew, I was like, if there's a way to get back on TV, I have to. And I got to do it now because when it starts to dwindle. And I did, and I got there, and there were a lot of big money superstar players. So our contracts were kind of second nature, and it was different management, and the money was never on time, and the contract wasn't great. I had a 1-year deal with an option with a raise. They came to me and they go, Hogan and Bischoff love you. This guy loves you. We want to keep you. We're going to push you as a singles out of this Ace and Ace deal. And I go, oh, this is amazing. Thank you. Great. But we can't give you a raise. And I went, well, if I eat that right now, I'm going to eat it for the rest of my career. So I said, I can't do that because you guys wrote it in. You're going to give me, there is a nominal raise. You understand wrestling at that time, nominal. It's a few bucks, but I need the fucking raise. I need it for my
something for the effort.
I'm the first guy to bootleg shirts, and I was bootlegging the fuck out of those Aces and Ace shirts when the check was 8 weeks late. I'm sorry, that's the truth. Said it right here. 17 minutes and 57 seconds in. And they said no. And I said yes. And they go, well, if you're gonna stand on that, we're gonna release you. You can't release me if I quit. They put it on the internet, they released me. God rest Bob Ryder's soul. I was very angry at him about that. But what that did was I had that time from the end of that deal expired in July until November. I had like 4 months, and I was like, man, I didn't make enough in WWE, certainly live for the rest of my life. I'm spending my savings. I got a kid at home. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And I'm doing indies, but there weren't great indies in that era. Yeah. It's not, that was some real hot commodity. I was like, I thought my life was pretty. And I remember calling my dad and I said, I'm doing 1 tour of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And if it doesn't work out, like I have to be a man and give up for the good of my son. I can't be the guy who's broke on welfare in his sweatpants getting pinned in a high school gym for $100 because that's not what a man does. I got to be a provider. And we had this real serious talk, and I cried on the phone. And then, it's one of those deals, whatever you believe in, but I feel like God smiled down. I went to Japan and we caught lightning in a bottle. The Bullet Club was born. We won the tag league. And the next tour, we won the fucking belts in the Tokyo Dome. So whatever that higher power is, I appreciate it. But that was my lowest of low. And what it did was produce, like, I got to do some cool shit. I'd been on WrestleMania. I wrestled The Undertaker in the main event of SmackDown when I was 23 and a half years old. But like that Tokyo Dome match, when we got to march out there and we worked Harry and Lance, and the match was fine. It was good. They're both our friends. And we won those belts, and we were standing there. And I mean, there's a lot of sweat because I'm always blown up, but there were tears running down my face because it was like, I'm still swinging. I'm here, and thank God that it worked out. So those are they coincide with each other.
That's really cool that you had that moment, and also that, it's always darkest before dawn, it seems like. And if you hold on for the most part,
Yeah. Hold on, don't let them buck you all the way off, right? I guess.
right. Yeah. So when that tandem of yourself and Karl came to be, how quickly did you realize that, oh boy, we got something here?
So we we bonded over there. I didn't know him. I saw him at, you remember those ill-fated, they were a lot of fun, but around WrestleMania, there's a million things. Back in those days, there was the Kevin Nash party. And it was like, hey, you sell your gimmicks, you can drink as much as you want on the house. So me and Brother Knox in there having the time of our lives, and Karl Anderson walked by, and I stopped and I go, hey, excuse me, man. Big fan of your work in Japan. He goes, oh yeah, cool. Basically, off and walked on, right? Like, hey, I'm on TV in the United States. But anyway, a couple months later, he was home watching TNA, and he DM me and goes, what the fuck are they putting on? Like all wrestlers do. What the fuck is this on TV for? I don't know. What the fuck? We're having so much fun. Couple months later, my deal's running out, and I go, I hate to send the hey brother message, but hey brother, do you think there's a chance in Japan? I got to take my hat off to with no hair under it, to Scott D'Amore here too. He was Nick Aldis's agent at the time. And he goes, man, you got to have a run in Japan with your size and stuff, and you're still young. Like, they can get a lot out of you, which they can. They always need a good gaijin to beat up on. So between the two of them, they went to Hattori. And the funnier part of the story is, I didn't know Karl was in line for a big singles push. So he's your brother, and he goes, hey, look at this guy on TNA. And he goes, hey, that guy looks good. Maybe tag team. He's like, I know that guy. Yeah. So he turned on me and buried me for 2 months before I showed up, but it ended up working out, and we became a historic tag team. But yeah, that was the way that it went. Go back to the question. I got off on a tangent. What was the question?
Just that was pretty much it. Where'd you guys realize that, hey, so this thing's working?
That first tour, we do Korakuen Hall, and I'd wrestle in Japan, but never in Korakuen Hall. And I do a New Japan show in Korakuen Hall. It's another thing. It's so he's so fucking charismatic, and obviously I'm partial. I love him, but I get the win in Korakuen. My finish 1, 2, 3. He's in line for the push. So I don't know. I just think he's the happiest guy in the world. What a great partner. So this guy. But in Japan, it's a sponsor culture, and apparently the sponsor said, you and your partner tonight. So he calls my room. I mean, this is like, cell phone Japan coverage. He goes, hey, Gallows. I go, hey. He goes, Machine Gun. I go, hey. He goes, do you like beer? I go, yeah. And he goes, do you like Mexican food? And I go, yeah. He's like, do you want both for free with my sponsor? And I go, yeah. But outside of us having this match and me being on this high, I don't know the guy. So I go down to the lobby of the Tokyo Dome Hotel. They put us in a cab. They take us to Mexican spot. And we get there, and I don't know the sponsor culture. And these two business dudes start just talking in Japanese. And Karl goes, Nama Futatsu. And 2 giant beers show up. Then 2 shots show up. Then chips and guacamole show up. Then tacos show up. Then more shots show up. And he looks at me and I look at him, and it's like that the Step Brothers moment when they're doing karate in the garage. I'm like, we just become best friends, and like basically we bro hugged, and we've been together ever since. It's funny too, because like, not just in the ring, like our children, our wives, we have a separate business outside of the ring together. You don't get that blessing a lot with a tag team partner or a business partner. And you and I have had great partners and friends through the years, the same ones, and you don't stay as close to them. So I'm lucky that I have somebody that through all the trials and tribulations, my little road wife with the bald head, he's my guy.
He's a looker too. Yeah, I can, out of sight is out of mind, it seems a lot in
Yeah.
the industry,
See a guy for a while, and all of a sudden you have heat with him. You go, well, why do we have heat? Well, I just haven't seen you. I don't know why. Are you mad?
Having been through every different era, having had so many times where there was a bite at the apple and you did everything you could to make it work, and so many things did, man. You made chicken soup more times than anybody.
We're we're a
And
fi- we're a very 50-50 act on American soil, though. 100%. Yep.
but what would you say, having gone through all that, has changed the most in the wrestling business?
The ever changing pulse of the wrestling business is the change in the wrestling business. Like we tooted our own horn a lot at the end of the 2010s and 12s and 13. And then I remember we were watching WrestleMania in 2014. And I'm the same age as WrestleMania. So we're watching it, and I started seeing the shirts and the crowd of the Bullet Club and going, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. But the one thing you can always bank on is we go, well, that changed the industry. Well, great. Yeah, it did. And then you know what came out of that? The spawn of AEW. And then you know what came out of that? The next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And then you know what came out of that was the real change in the wrestling business. Timmy, you and I, you're a Danny Davis guy all the way through, which I'm jealous of because I would have loved to have just sat and listened to him. But those guys in that era, that's Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. It's live event based business. It's why New Japan's still on its fucking ass right now because they couldn't come out of the pandemic. Because if you're not a media content company, which all these the big ones are WWE, AEW, TNA, whatever that is with WWE, these are content based media companies. New Japan couldn't kick out. I don't work for them anymore. I'll say that here. And there's reasons for that. But they were still a live event, circus based, in my opinion. It's you gotta pay to see the elephant and the girl walking on the tightrope. And when you take that away, it kills business. So smart on all these companies for being content creators and smart on learning the media part, but Japanese business wasn't there yet. And that changed the industry in a huge way. And Japanese business went from here to there because of that fact. And the rest of the companies carry on. And that's why you see like the live events are dead. There's never going to be another house show. But what I think it has created is you have this space where like a Maryland Championship Wrestling, like a HOG in New York, who I don't work for, or WWC in Puerto Rico, or Lariato Pro in Georgia, what we do. You know, corporate wrestling is corporate wrestling. This isn't to shit on it because good for them for making all the money, but the blue collar American fan, my dad, your dad, couldn't afford to take us to see the WWF wrestlers anymore because if it's 30 grand to sit in the front row and 1,200 bucks to sit in the cheap seat, you know where they're going? It's 25 bucks to get in down the road. And I'm going to see Matt Riddle and Baron Corbin and Timmy Baltimore and Joey Mercury if he's not doing something weird. Whoever the fuck's down there,
Yeah.
got a chance to see those guys. You're going to see a hell of a show if it's put on right. And that's where that exists. But I do wonder with that change, and this is a great question for you because great analyst of the business. I wonder, you can teach it in a building and in a room all fucking day. But if you get rid of these live events and you get rid of these house shows, and there's no more Des Moines, Iowa, and there's no more Lafayette, Louisiana, And there's no more Lake Charles in front of 1,000 people that the boys will bitch about because of the payoff. Where do you learn to be comfortable if you come from an NXT system or something where it's hard to perform live and be on and be ready? And more than that, not be afraid to make an ass out of yourself and go, oh, fuck it, we'll go on to the next one. It's a very difficult thing for performers.
Yeah. The learning is in the mistakes, and you really find that those times where you shit the bed, you look back and you go, "That's what prepared me. That's what made me good." And I you brought up Danny Davis and those old timers. It's kind of sad because they're not making obviously any more of those guys, the Rip Rogers, the maniacs who laid the groundwork.
So, you know what the end of those guys are? This is a real sad thing. It's fucking us, and we don't fill their shoes, man. You know, I might be able to give you 2 Saturdays a month, maybe, but I can't give you 4 nights a week. And boy, do you need it.
Yeah.
I need it. I'm still not there, but
Right. Closer than most. And I think there's a small portion that know the right way, teach the right way, but it's all been so self-contained lately, right? It's almost like, I don't want to say homeschooling, but like raising a baby in a lab or something. You're not going to have the same social and awareness that you would if you've been out on the roads, like you said, had to, you
and you
know,
Townsend, you have to be around people who you cannot like anybody. Al Snow and I have been on a roller coaster ride since the day I met him. But what I do know is this: he's performed in front of more live crowds than I have, and he understands how to control them, and he understands how to tell people whether he likes them or not. You know, you don't. We can't regurgitate that with people who have never done it, and we sound like old bastards saying it, and I don't think we are. But we're the last. I'm the last. We're in the group of the last touring professional wrestlers that ever lived. MVP and I were talking about that. Like there's no more house shows. There were barely any Japanese tours, and that's not that we're the guys are more athletic now, but the experience of having a crowd in your hand and learning what to do and learning how to control them and learning what to do if something really gets up and not losing your shit. I mean, I learned that from Joey too. I know I keep going back to Joey because he's a friend of mine and yours off screen that I haven't talked to in years, but the feather in Joey's cap, you know, for all the negative stuff people have said was he'd been doing it since he was 14, 15 years old, and he was comfortable and he understood and he knew it was okay for this to happen and this to happen. But if this happens, we need to negate from this and go this way. So we learn that you know, everything's rehearsed and everything's just sitting in a room. And, you know, those people look really pretty and I'm really happy for them. I want to make a lot of money because I'm not a hater, but I wonder if it'll end up 3 years, 5 years, 10 years being a detriment to the what we like about pro wrestling. And maybe it won't matter. So
maybe it won't. Maybe it'll become, there'll be a more of a underground kind of fringe movement. Who knows? Hopefully there's a buck to be made for those that are
yeah.
worth a damn. Having that zest and that passion for professional wrestling still, even after um, getting a taste and and not working out, or getting a taste, getting close, and then things not turning out how you thought they would. Do you have any forward thinking advice or um, any guidance for people who may be going through something similar, whether they're in the business or not?
Whether you're in the business or not, the best advice I ever heard was from a great old timer. I've shared the advice a million times, and I promised I'd never pass on. But looked me in the eye and said, "Don't take no for an answer, kid. No is not an answer. It's just another question. And if you think it's a no, maybe a no right here, but look over there." And that's what I've modeled my career, my life, everything off of. Because I mean, you know, I lost everything in 2011, and I sit here today jobless, but one of the busiest men in wrestling. And I look around, and I'm so thankful for the children that I have. And this isn't a horn toot, but like we learned over the years to protect our money and to invest it and to, paid off home and two successful businesses. And I'm still out there humping, being a pro wrestler. And you just can't let those detractors with you. I've had a million of them. You're too big, you're stupid, you're not entertaining, you played a retard on TV, whatever terrible thing they can say, they'll say it. But you know what? They're saying it for a reason because they're sitting there in a chair wishing they could go out and swing. So no matter what your lot in life is, get back up and swing again. I swear to God, it'll work out. I've sat there and thought it was over a million times. It ain't ever over unless you let it be over. You can do it. And I'm living, breathing proof. I'm obviously not built on talent. I'm built on will and I'm built on drive. And no one's going to outwork me. And if I want to get something, I'm coming for you. So watch your spot. That's it.
What's a piece of advice that's been given to you by an unlikely source? Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, it's exactly what I just said because everybody. Here's the other thing: if you're an aspiring pro wrestler and a pro wrestler, you're gonna hear a million dickheads like me. You should do this, and I've been told you should do this by the greatest in the business. And sometimes it was such great advice. And there were other times when I went, I don't know if he's drunk or he just hates me, but I ain't listening. Follow your gut. You're going to be wrong. You're going to fuck up. This shit is all opinion based. If you, Timmy, are 6'5" and you are a tight end and you run a 4.4 and you can catch the fucking ball, you're going to get drafted and make $50 million next year. If you come out of whatever it's called now, bone crushers, you're 6'4" and you can run a 4.3 and you can do a standing dip up and you understand the psychology of the business and you cut a great promo and you go to the tryout and everything you do is perfect, but one person thinks your breath stinks, you might be. So, with that being said, keep your chin up. Don't be afraid to get hit in it. It happens. You'll roll through it. That's just life. Keep swinging.
Keep swinging. I love that. Big LG.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Festus for the rest of us. It's almost Christmas season.
Yeah, freaking Deacon. I remember I used to watch the Deep South tapes with the freaking Deacon.
Mother, you always say that, but I know you haven't laughed at me.
Not at all Deep South. Come on. We weren't doing much.
Oh, God. I got to tell you this off there. Such a developing new Deep South story 20 years later. That was television lost in the vault, bud.
But we can dig it out. We used to have to watch it every tape day after OVW. We pop in and everybody go, oh, as if like we were making freaking Shakespeare, but still.
Well, there was definitely a territorial divide because Bill would go, look at these dickheads. And we go, I mean, I don't know. Like, just don't. Not another thing.
Even Cliff would get and go, Timmy, you know Nigel Sherrod. Oh.
That kid started commentating when he's 14.
I know. I said, well, yeah, no.
He's 31.
Anyway, maybe that's a story for another day.
That's another podcast.
Yeah. Well,
I hit me developmentally speaking last week, and
how was that?
It was a very nice guy, but I hadn't done it long, and I go, God, the stories I couldn't tell. But anyway, I had a lot of fun down there.
Hell yeah. Was your OVW experience good or bad?
Oh, it was fucking awful. You guys were terrible to us. Rotten people.
Why were we? That was so weird.
Territorial divide. I always like my favorite anecdote though was I was like, well, they can beat them up, but they can't beat me up because I'm already on TV. So Al maybe saw that as a weakness. So I would go on to SmackDown and fight Kane for 20 minutes, or I would pin John Morrison, the tag team champion. Then I'd get to OVW and be like, I need you to get squashed by Charles the Hammer Evans in 60 seconds. I would go like, we started making a joke. I go, well, what if I can do it in 30? And you go, even better. I go, great.
Terrible.
Festus was the worst Kentuckiana wrestler in the history of Kentuckiana wrestling. Worse than Johnny Punch. But 7 out of 10 on SmackDown for a while.
It's insane. Yeah, man. That wasn't the majors had a terrible time.
Oh, theirs is funnier because they took it way more personal, though. So I like getting them wound up about it because they go like this, that. And I just went, guys, I get a shorter match on Wednesday.
Always, you're always a.
I'm a silver lining guy, Timmy.
Yeah, a 50-year vet in a 20-year-old body.
Al hates us. Gonna make us lose. Let's do it quick.
Right. Get the car started there, Ray. You've given me a lot of time here. I know this was impromptu, so I just wanted to thank you for that. Do you have anything you got to plug? Any socials, things of that nature I can throw up for you?
Man, I would love if any of you guys, we know we can't compete with the big three, but we are swinging just like everybody else. So our band is a wrestling reality show. It's called Talknshop Presents Lariato Pro Wrestling. It's on Triller Plus TV every other Saturday. It's on Roku channel STGN 49. It has a Thursday lead-in with a visual version of our Talkin' Shop podcast hosted by myself, the Machine Gun, Karl Anderson, a variety of great guests, which we hope to include the Pimp with the Limp soon. Since I stepped out and did one for him, he owes me one. But please check that out. Follow me, _Big LG on all the socials. I'm pimping my shit all the time. We're live, baby. 4 nights a week right now. Happy to be so busy and blessed. Come see us live, watch the show, and more than anything, like us, hate us, just keep watching wrestling. It's here to stay, and we love it. It's our lifeblood, so that's all.
All right, well, that's it. We're going to pitch out here, and thanks for joining me on LiMPiNAiNTEASY.
I was having one of my Dublin shows, and sometimes they do 1,000 people, sometimes they do 300 people. And I thought the show wasn't going well, so I went out there and I wanted them to think it was real and believe in that. And that's what, stupid or not, Terry Funk has been my wrestling hero since I was a child. And, that's what we did. So I went home with a bunch of tacks in my back and a bunch of scars on my forehead and a barbed wire cut up my right forearm. And my wife said, "You're a dumb motherfucker." And I said, "I know I am. Anyway, here's the bag of cash. Put it in the safe. I got to take a shower."
Hey, you jabronis. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to click subscribe to the YouTube channel and podcast. This has been LiMPiNAiNTEASY. It's wrestling as real as it gets.